Schedules allow equipment to operate. The schedules we most commonly see are related to occupancy. If a zone is occupied, the equipment is running. If it is unoccupied, it is usually off. Although these occupancy schedules are most common, schedules in web control are not limited to occupancy. For example, you might also have schedules for sprinklers or lighting. These different schedules can be binary, either off or on, or multi-state, which allows for more than just off and on states. These different schedule types are referred to as schedule categories. When you first create your web control system, there is only one schedule category. This category is for occupancy. We will show you how to make modifications to existing categories, as well as how to add schedule categories to your web control system. Let's begin by viewing the properties of the occupancy schedule. You may have noticed that whenever you add a schedule to your system, there are certain defaults that are automatically entered. These defaults, such as the occupied time for a normal schedule and the color displayed for a normal schedule, are set up based on the category. Let's view the settings for the occupancy category. We'll navigate to the configuration tree, then expand the Categories folder and select Schedule. In the table, you will see all current categories, which in this case is just for occupancy. We'll select it from the table, and you will see all of the properties associated with this category in the Category Details section. Now you can change the various items associated with this category, including the category description and allowed values. You can also change properties related to the priority. For example, if we select the normal priority, we can change the priority description, its color on the band, the allowable schedule types, and the default schedule. If you would like for all normal schedules that get added to default to an 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. occupied time, instead of the current 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., then we can click on and change the default schedule. After we accept the changes, any new normal schedule that gets added to the system will default to an occupied time of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can also add custom schedule categories to handle other binary or multi-state schedules if the equipment's control program includes a time clock microblock. To show you the steps involved in creating custom categories, let's create a multi-state lighting schedule category. There are several prerequisites that must occur before you can use a custom category in web control. Let's start by changing the ems.ini file to include a reference name and display name for the new schedule category. Let's navigate to and open Web Control icon ems.ini. Let's add this information to the appropriate binary or multi-state schedule categories section. We are adding a multi-state category. Let's enter lighting equals lighting. We have just entered our new category and reference names. We are actually changing the icon for web control application. All time clock microblocks in subsequent files will include this new category in the schedule category list. Let's save the file and close it. Next, we need to open Icon and locate the program that will use this new category. In this case, the name of the file that we need to open is T00721. From here, we select the multi-state time clock microblock and then select the new category from the Schedule Category options. Here you will see the only schedule category we have for multi-state is the lighting category, so no change is needed. If you would like to change the description, you can change that to lighting. And then we'll accept the changes. Now let's save our changes and then make our control program. Note that a time clock microblock can only be assigned to a single category. If you want to be able to schedule occupancy and lighting, then you must have 2 time clock microblocks in the program. Let's close Icon. Now we want to return to WebCTRL and navigate to the main conference room, which is the control program that was just changed. From here, we want to enter the manual command reload. Once the program has been reloaded, then click the Download button to download the program into the module. Now we need to return to the Schedule Categories page to define the new lighting category. Let's select Add and set up the reference name, which must be the same as the reference name in the ems.ini page. We will also set up the description. Next, we can set up the remaining fields. Let's start by adding our allowed values. In this case, we will have 3 states of lighting: off, on, and dimmed. Let's begin by adding our first allowed value description as off. The pattern will be dark, and we will make this off description our default. Now we need to add our second allowed value, which will be on lighting. We will leave the pattern as none. Our third allowed value, we said, would be dimmed lighting. There are several different patterns that can be used for these schedule types. All of the patterns, such as vertical lines, horizontal lines, can all be found in this particular location. The easiest way to select a pattern is to copy and paste this path into the address field and then replace the XXX with the name of the pattern desired. Let's use the squares pattern. We have said that we only want the 3 allowed values. However, if your multi-state category has additional values, you continue adding values in exactly the same manner. Now let's scroll down the page to the priority section. Let's add different priority levels. We select the Add Priority Level button. We'll scroll down again, and then we'll type in our priority description. In this case, we will make a normal priority and we will select the normal color. Our normal schedule will be a weekly type, which means that we must define all 24 hours in the day. Let's make our default schedule. We first add a segment. We'll select the off state, which in this example will run from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. Select OK. Then we will add our on segment, which will go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Finally, we'll add our dimmed segment, which will go from 7 p.m. until 12 a.m. We have now defined our normal priority default schedule. Let's add a second priority level. We will call this one Holiday and use the standard holiday color. Our schedule types will be date, date range, wildcard, and partial day. Since we have selected partial day, we do not need to define the entire 24-hour period. Let's add a single unoccupied segment that goes from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. Now let's add our third priority level. We will call this one Override, and again we will use the standard override color. We will select any schedule type except weekly, and then add an on segment from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. We need to scroll down to the bottom of the page before we'll be able to select the OK button. Let's also add a dimmed lighting segment, which will go from 12 a.m. until 3 a.m. Once we have selected and defined all of our priorities, we can then select the Accept button. Now that these changes have been accepted, we can return to a piece of equipment using this control program. Notice there's a drop-down arrow on the Schedules button, indicating multiple schedule categories. You can now select this lighting category and create schedules just as you have done before.